Hey guys, my name's Mel. Welcome to my channel. For those of you who are jumping in straight to this video, the idea behind this and the other videos that I've uploaded today, for anyone whose children are at home, whatever the reason might be, they are also trying to work from home and their children aren't getting the learning they normally would, and also they're just feeling a bit at a loss for how to engage and entertain and also teach them. So I am an early childhood educator and primary school teacher. I thought that I would put together a few different videos giving you some suggestions of different things that you could do with your kids or that your kids could do independently so that they can continue to learn and to grow, and also hopefully so that you can get a little bit of time to actually work. So here's the next installment. So for this video I'm going to talk about getting active and literacy and offer you a few different suggestions and ideas as well as some resources to help you with those things. So first of all, getting active. That one is probably one that is quite tricky for a lot of parents because generally speaking they're feeling like they need to stay indoors completely, and of course if you live in areas of the world where there's lots of apartments, it would be quite difficult for you to get access to outside. But don't despair, because there's lots of things that you can do inside to help your children get a little bit of exercise. Before we start, I want to also add that I am very aware that a lot of parents are trying to work while their kids are at home. So some of these activities are the sorts of things that you would do with them, but some of these activities are the sorts of things that they can do themselves. So you might need to turn on a TV and upload something or whatever it might be, but in general, they can then do the activity themselves. So let's start with a dance party. This one is pretty easy, although I suppose it could be potentially quite distracting. So if you're a person who doesn't work well in loud environments, maybe think about doing something else. But a dance party is a really fun way to get your kids to be active, especially when they are under about 7. They will love this idea. You can just go on Spotify and search kids dance music and it will do all the rest of the work for you. Or same again with YouTube, and away you go. Plus, you'll seem like the funnest parent ever. On the same line, there are probably numerous dancing websites and videos on YouTube to help kids do various different dances. I'm going to suggest a couple to you now. The first one is Go Noodle. They have some really cool different dances that kids can learn, and you put it on the screen and they have people showing you what the dances are. Then there's Just Dance, which is the same. It's all to new music, so the kids will love the fact that it's not just you putting on your old tunes, although that's also a great option. For older kids, try going and finding an exercise routine. Again, if you just search into YouTube, you'll be able to find something. One that's aimed at younger children, but I think works really well for older kids as well, is Cosmic Kids. Again, if you just go into YouTube and search Cosmic Kids Yoga, it will come up with some great options. So Cosmic Kids Yoga is a really awesome way of doing yoga with kids, because again it's a demonstrator on the screen who talks them through all the different movements, but it doesn't actually say like downward dog, for example. It has sort of more kiddish names, so it is aimed at the younger kids, but I still think it's great even up to sort of 10 years old or so. It's a really fun thing that children can do. Each little session is probably around 10 to 15 minutes long, and every child that I've seen do it have absolutely loved it. So I highly recommend that. So that was Cosmic Kids Yoga. These are fantastic ways to get your kids active and moving, and I highly recommend them. And then we move on to literacy. There are tons of different things that you can use to help your children further their literacy. There are lots of different apps. There are lots of different things again on YouTube. So all you really need to do is go to the App Store and search kids literacy and you'll come up with loads of different ideas. But I'm just going to suggest a few things that I know work really well and that I would recommend. So first thing is reading with kids. That's not always that easy. Like we said, if you're trying to work from home, if your children are too young to read to themselves. So luckily the internet has got you covered there as well. I highly recommend you go to Storyline Online. This is a really, really cool website. They have a variety of different actors who read various different books, and the books are half animated and then half you view the actor reading the story. It's a really, really fun way for kids to experience stories, and there's heaps on there, so you could sit them in front of it for a good hour probably and they'd be interested. Talking about listening to stories, I recommend going onto Audible or Libby or Scribd or one of the many, many different audiobook sites and look for different kids books or middle grade books or even young adult books. Another great option for hearing and engaging with stories is podcasts. I've got a few on my phone that I use in class, and also if I'm with my nephew or anything like that and we're looking for something to do. Storynori is a really, really cool podcast that tells a variety of different stories, fairy tales, folk tales, that sort of thing. The Alien Adventures of Finn Caspian is another really cool episodic podcast. Not really sure how long it's been going for, but there's a lot of episodes on there, and you know, it's like watching a TV show. There are different episodes each week or each day. I'm not sure about that either, but look it up. It's a really fun thing to listen to. I'm also going to suggest a couple of different websites that are aimed at helping children to develop reading habits and literacy in general. So they have all sorts of different puzzles and activities. They're very engaging and immersive and encourage lots of different things as well as literacy, like hand-eye coordination, fine motor skills. One of those is Reading Eggs, and that's run through the Australian Broadcasting Corporation's website. So if you're Australian, you'll know about the ABC. If you are outside of Australia, then just look up ABC Reading Eggs. It does cost some money. I'm not 100% sure how much because I've only used it within schools, but I don't think it would be prohibitive. The other one is Teach Your Monster to Read. Again, I'm not sure of the cost, if any, for that one, but that's a really fun, engaging, interactive game that will help children to learn how to read. For older children, most of those things still apply. I have seen grade 5, 6s really enjoy watching Storyline Online, even though those are picture books. But of course there are loads of different middle grade books and different young adult books that older children will enjoy. You could always start a little bit of a book club with your kids. I think that would be a really fun way to engage kids with their reading. So I thought that I'd finish out this particular video by showing you a few different books that I think are really great and that I think are really great either for kids to read themselves or for you to read to your kids. I'm going to start with the children's picture books and then go through some middle grade and then up into young adult. So first of all, we have a classic that probably most people have seen, which is The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle. Next up we have an Australian classic, and that is Possum Magic by Mem Fox, illustrated by Julie Vivas. This was one of my favourite books when I was a kid, and this is one of Australian kids generally favourite books. It's read aloud in schools all the time. It's owned by many households, but anyone that doesn't know about it or hasn't read it for a while, I highly recommend this one as a great one. Then we have this one, which is called Penguin Problems. It's a really fun book that I've read aloud to a few different classes now, and they really enjoyed it. It's a little bit of a sort of talking about mental health, talking about the way that you perceive the world, talking about your identity, but it's just also really fun with lots of really engaging pictures, so definitely recommend that one. Next up we have one of my absolute favourite kids book authors, and that is Aaron Blabey. So I'm going to show you a variety of different books that he has written, and they're all amazing. Kids love them, and I definitely recommend anything by Aaron Blabey. So first of all, we have Pearl Barley and Charlie Parsley, which is a really lovely story about how you can be friends even when you're different. Then we have Thelma the Unicorn. This is a really cute story that all kids love. It's about unicorns, it's about ponies, it's about wanting things and dreaming for things, it's about reaching for the stars, but it's also about finding that you already have a lot of stuff that you need and that you want and figuring yourself out a bit. And it's just some beautiful illustrations. All of the Pig the Pug books. I think this is all of them, but there could very easily be more already out. These are completely adorable books about a pug called Pig and all of the not so nice antics that he gets up to and how he has to learn to be nice and to share or whatever the lesson might be. So they're great books. Alright, so now I'm going to go through a few different middle grade books. So look, honestly, when your child is like 5, you could start reading some of the middle grade chapter books to them, certainly the lower middle grade. For that, I would suggest something like The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, The Chronicles of Narnia. These are fantastic books to read to young children. They're really, really fun, and they're a great introduction to that idea of a longer story. Then of course there are all the Roald Dahl books, so Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the BFG, James and the Giant Peach, all of these other ones that are really fantastic to read aloud to children. When they get to about probably 8 or 9, they can start having a go at reading a variety of chapter books themselves, but it's still really fun to read aloud to them. So any of these other books that I've just mentioned or that I'm about to mention are great books that you could suggest they try reading themselves or read aloud to them. So I'm going to show you The Magic Faraway Tree by Enid Blyton, Captain Underpants and the Big Bad Battle of the Bionic Booger Boy. So there's actually a variety of Captain Underpants books that you could choose from. Then there are The Bad Guys, also by Aaron Blabey, which are a fantastic choice as well. Alright, next up is The Wee Free Men. So this is actually Terry Pratchett's middle grade series set in the Discworld, and it is about Tiffany Aching and the Wee Free Men, which are these little dudes here. Definitely really fun. I think these are books that you can read at any age, starting from probably about 9. And yeah, they're really great. So there's a whole series and this is the first one. Then we have Esme's Wish and Esme's Gift. These are both books by Elizabeth Foster and they are young, middle grade to young adult, portal fantasy about a young girl called Esme who travels into the other world called Aeolia and in search of information about her mother. They're really, really good. And now we start to get into more of the young adult fiction. So we have The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, Sabriel by Garth Nix, which is the first book in the Abortion series by Garth Nix, and Graceling by Kristen Kershaw, which is the first book in, I don't actually know what the series is called, but anyway, this book is Graceling. So I will leave off there for this particular video, but stay tuned because there is another one coming up right now.